Howdy, this is MistaPotta, and welcome back to Gladiabots. So we completed all of the tutorials last time we were here. So now, I figured what we do is we look at a couple of things. Number one, we have the sandbox. And if I go to the sandbox, I've got a lot of different categories that we can do here. The collection, elimination, domination, and battle royal. And this allows us to test situations where we develop our own artificial intelligence. Now, this is the training AI. We were talking a little bit about this in our previous game. So, if I have an empty shield, then flee from the closest enemy. If I'm carrying a resource, then try and score to the closest ally base. Attack the enemy bot at short or medium range, and catch the closest resource. And remember that it does it in order. From left to right, it actually does it in this counterclockwise rotation. But what we can do is we can create a new AI. So let's go ahead and call this MistaPotta Test 1. So we can create our own AI here and kind of develop what we want it to do. So what I can do is I can try and come up with something that maybe might be a little bit more aggressive in this. So let's go ahead and talk about some things. Remember, we bring a dot out and come up with a situation. So let's do a conditional. We've got lots of different conditionals here, but let's go ahead and talk about how if I can do something where, say, if my shield is 0%, or actually I could do 0 or 25%, then do something, and the action could be to move. In this case, I'd want to flee from an enemy bot. So that would be the first thing that I do. Go ahead and move this over here. And then the second thing that I can do is I can try and go after targets. So let's say that if I've got, want to go ahead and go after a resource. Can I do that? What do I want to do here? I want to if a resource, and I want it to be, if it's within short or medium range, then I can try and get that resource. I can catch that resource. That would be something else that I could do. And then if I have a resource, so that's where I want. Actually, I want to go over here and say, if myself, I can do stuff based on actions here, but I can also do where if I'm carrying a resource, then I can score the resource. So that would take it to an ally base. And then otherwise, if I'm not fleeing and I'm not trying to capture a resource, then I can try and attack. So if an enemy bot is distance from me short or medium range, then I can go ahead and try to attack an enemy bot. That's within short or medium range. And then finally, what I probably want to do is, if there's an enemy bot that's long range or out of range, then I probably want to try and move towards it. But move towards an enemy bot that's within long range or out of range. So this is a little bit more complicated AI than what we had before. So keep in mind that our training AI kind of did things in this order. This AI that we're tweaking here, we're going to retreat first, then try and score using the shields, and then go after enemies. So let's go ahead and see if we can do something like this. So now if I go to sandbox and we'll do a random selection contest. So I'm the blue, there's the red, and I want to set up my team. And I'm going to set them up with my AI. And I'm going to set up the opposing team with the traditional training AI and do all of the team that way. So if we do that, let's see what happens here. So again, I can look at a particular bot and see what it's doing. He's trying to attack because there's no... so they're going to try and attack first. Let's see how that goes. So this one's got a problem. He can't do this. He has a resource, so he's trying to go to the nearest, the closest resource he's got. But now, he should be going to, if he has one, I guess I need to trade order leads. Let's just see what happens here. Let's go a little bit faster. We lost. It was close though. So one of the things we notice with that is there's a problem with our AI. Our AI should say if it's carrying a resource, then try and score. So really these should kind of trade places. Let's see if we can trade places on these. So if I have a resource, I should try and score. If there's a resource nearby, then I should try and get that resource. Let's see what that does. And again, what you're going to do is you're just going to keep tweaking your AI for each of these situations. Let's see. My blue team is MistaPotta test 1. There's the training AI. We're going to go ahead and go and speed this up a little bit. I wish there was a better intermediate speed. Sometimes the speed is just a little too fast. So it looks like this is a very aggressive where it's going after these bots, but not aggressive enough. Okay, so that AI is not working, so let's try something a little different then. So obviously I want to have this fleece situation, but maybe, just maybe, I want to move these down a little bit more where if there's a bot within, then I actually want to go after it. Is that an option? Can I make sure that I drop my resource so I'm faster? And then try and go after the robot? Let's try that. Let's see what that does. And again, what you're going to do is you're just going to keep tweaking back and forth and trying to come up with a situation where your method of attack works. All right, so I can see what my bots are doing. Right now they're going after the long-term bots instead of going after the resources. As soon as a bot comes up to this, they're going to try and get a shorter resource. So they're still just going to go after bots. See what happens here. So it should start shooting. So I can already see there's a little problem with that. We're going after robots, but the other robots are idly scoring. Always going to be robots that tend to regenerate, so we're going to have to do something. It's just not working. I'm going to quit this. Alright, so let me go to a sandbox. One of the other options is the elimination, where I want to try and eliminate. So I see I've got 8 of my robots here. I've got 8 enemy robots here. Let me make sure that the right team is running their traditional AI. Let's see what's going on here. So let's go ahead and speed this up. Everyone's going towards bots. Notice these red ones, they don't really seek out an enemy. They just attack an enemy close. Whereas these blue bots have this thing where they actually come up and try to attack. They're retreating as long as his shields are low. But I also have these shield areas, and I also have this ability to regain health. So those might be things we want to do. take advantage of those other resources. Let me zoom out a bit. And then if this is true, then I want to make sure I'm fleeing, but I also want to kind of go after, let's see, items, health pack. A health pack would be great to go after. If the distance from me is short or medium range, then definitely try and catch that health pack that's within short or medium range. Definitely try and do something like that. So if I'm low on shield, let's go after health packs if they're nearby. I need to kind of do the same thing with the shields. Let me move this over and put in something in here that's going to allow me to maybe occupy a shield area. So the strategic points is the force fields. If the distance is short or medium range, then we're going to want to capture the force field that's in short or medium range. But then we're also going to want to make sure that we attack any enemy bots that's in short, medium, or long range. And again, this is the only thing that's going to allow me to attack at long range. I'll be able to stay at the shield to stay protected, but I'll also be able to attack at long range. So here's my retreat scenario. Here's my shield scenario. And then I've got my normal attacking, which seemed to work. And then these last two won't actually come into play because they're only when we're trying to capture resources. Alright, so let's see what this does in our sandbox. Doing another elimination. Okay. So one of the things I noticed is that they try and get to the shields and then some good stuff. We're actually going after. Like we did well. That's good, but I think that just worked for that one layout. Now, the other thing that I noticed is over here, these robots are kind of just staying in this shield area. And it's really nice that they can stay in that shield area, but they really should try and move off a bit, I guess. I'll need to figure out something over here to try and get them to move off of it, because otherwise they just stay here and get stuck. The other thing I noticed is that they never really actually went for the health packs. So I'm wondering if I need to go in and kind of redo the AI here. Well, I never really got into a situation where I needed the health packs. Although, I'm wondering, would it be nice to just get health packs if I have an opportunity? I mean, if there's a health pack that's just within short range, then just get that health pack. And that way, if I happen to pass one, I'll just claim it. I may not need it at the time, but at least that'll deny a resource from someone else. Then this will... Let's actually make this just in short range. And then once I'm at short range, then I'll go ahead and attack whoever I can attack. I'll establish that as kind of my base. Alright, so let's try this one more time. Going back to our sandbox. Do elimination. Okay, so again, I'm going to target the other robots. This one seems to be going for this robot, but now he's got the shield here. Once he's got the shield, he's just going to take whatever attack he can. Retreating, going over here, he's low on shield. Once he gets up to 20%. Again, he's established that shield. an interesting AI. Alright, so the other one I wanted to try is the domination. Remember the domination, we have these little zones in here that we need to make sure that we claim. So we'll need to make sure that our AI can search out these zones and at least try and claim them. So let's go back to our AI. And then of course the question is, where do we want to put this in our AI? So again, I'm going to space this out a little bit. So these are my things I want to do when I'm collecting resources. This is my attacking situation. This is defending myself. This is dealing with force fields. And then in here, and actually I think I want, no, cancel. I think I actually want this to be in here because I want to make sure that I'm collecting those bases first. So if strategic points, or is it items, resources, bases, it's bases. So if there's a neutral base and it's short or medium range, then we want to try and claim that base. So we want to move, actually we want to move towards the neutral base, that short or medium. And then the other thing we want to do is that, actually, do we want to just move there, or do we want to, we don't want to capture, we want a domination, we want to capture a neutral base that's short or medium, make sure that we capture it. Alright, so let's try that and see what that does. So going back to our sandbox, going back to domination. And of course we know that the enemy AI doesn't have any domination set up in it, so let's go ahead and just put it there just to see what we're doing. Oh yeah, I need to make sure that all the robots have that training AI on it. And we'll go. Okay, so notice they capture the bases first. And even though they're only capturing 3 bases, we got a couple of people staying in shields, and that's okay. Yeah, it looks like it's doing pretty well. Somehow they recaptured that shield. I think it doesn't matter, just dumb luck because this guy's targeting him. Well, that's victory. Alright, so last thing I want to try in this episode is I actually want to see what happens in the Battle Royal. So I'm going to go ahead and stick one of my robots in here. So my right team, everyone's going to be doing their just training AI. And where's my blue guy? Where is, oh there he is, here. This is my blue guy. So we're going to go ahead and start up. So as everyone's shooting at everyone else, Battle Royal. Here I am, I'm going after this robot right here. He's retreating, I'm pressing the attack. Kind of just going back and forth between these 2 robots. Not really pressing the attacks, not really pursuing, it's just kind of ducking and weaving. Notice I never really let myself get too low in health because I actually leave that, but why does this go on? Interesting. Yeah, that just didn't work. But what happens if we had 4 bots? Does that make any difference? So now that I've got a team, and it's the right team, and we're going to put them on just their training AI. Here's my team. Notice they all went for the plus, they all went for the health, and now they're going to go after this team over here. Concentrating fire, it's going to help. Concentrating fire. That's the advantage. I've got my team of 4 and they're going after this next team. Pretty well. Not too bad. They split up though, and that worries me that they split up. Okay. So it's not doing too bad. I knew I was going to defeat because I just can't get through everything. But what happens if everyone gets that AI? Let's try that. Try and put everyone on my special AI. This should be a lot more interesting because now everyone should try and pursue. So here's our team. Already splitting up. But everyone's trying to be a lot more zealous. Because he's already going for the help. People are dying. It's not all 4 of my robots. Looks like I'm a little problem. Okay. And now people are starting to die. Got my last little one right here. Pressing the advantage. Got double-sided here, so. Interesting. Definitely looks like more of a battle is going on. Right, go ahead and let's play on and watch what happens until we get down to the very last robot. You can see some accidental team-ups happening. We're down to the last winner. There we go, and for some reason we had a little battle, a little skirmish going on down here, but they're just kind of, they picked up that health along the way. Cool. So we have a winning team, and this team, my goodness, they actually have all 4 of that entire team made it. That's awesome. Cool. So now we got a little bit better understanding of what's going on with BattleBots. We've actually tried to make a comprehensive AI. So in the next episode, we're going to let that play out a little bit more. Maybe see how this AI does against some of the online teams. Once again, this is Mr. Potter. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.